Morning. I'm back. This is Carolyn Lang, and I wanted to talk to you tonight about personal responsibility again. After last night's live video, I thought a lot about it, and I wanted to do a little bit of research about personal responsibility. And in particular, I found some information about victimitis. And I am not a fan of victimitis, and sometimes I guess I can admit to being judgmental about seeing other people and saying, "Oh, they have the victim." Hi, Tiffany. Thanks for joining me. But I can be judgmental and say, "Oh, I think they have a victim mentality," and that's just not a good thing. But when I was looking it up, hi, Kevin. Looking it up, victimitis, some of the descriptions that I found was that, number one, the person gets angry very easily and is always offended about things. Or number two, which I commonly saw, was they don't ever take responsibility for their own actions. Three, they're quick to judge and criticize others. And four, always justifying their actions as being triggered by external actions. The fourth one was the one that kind of zinged me, though. It was being unable to hit their goals and making excuses for that. Now, granted, life happens and things happen. Last year, I helped my dad move from the house that he was in for 25 years, and that's a big thing for somebody. And so helping him, that really took some time out of my schedule, but there's always something that you can be doing to move yourself forward in what it is that you want to achieve in your life. I can't very well park my life and live somebody else's and then expect to reach my goals. That just doesn't work. So that was a little prick of realizing that I too have victimitis. Some of the other one, there was two more. One of them was blaming others liberally and complaining about the world at large. And the last one was expecting a standard of others that they don't hold themselves to. So if any of those kind of fit you, or maybe somebody you know, they too may have victimitis. Some of the things that I talked about, really, I've tried to really make an effort this year of getting rid of that. And like I said, I don't like victimitis. Some things that obviously you have to acknowledge that things happen. Before that, I guess I should say, how do you get that way? Well, most people have had pain or sorrow or something going on in their life. Hi, Vincenta, nice to see you. But when you have that, then it's a matter of getting rid of that pain and letting it go. And so I just figured I would share some tips on how to get rid of the victimitis that maybe you have come down with like I did. The first one was, and forgive me for my notes here, but the first one was really just acknowledging that you do have victimitis. And when you do, you realize that, like I said, you feel that poor me mentality. You realize that you get some attention that way. And, maybe somebody's going to come and make you feel better because, that's been such a bad thing for you and so forth. But are you really happy if you have that? I mean, are you reaching your goals? Are you really happy in what you're doing? So I guess the very first step then is to decide that you want to change. And you have to be willing to give up that and get out of your comfort zone, because that's been your comfort zone for quite a while. So now you have to decide that you want something different, and that can be very uncomfortable. I'm sure everybody has experienced something like that in their life. And so it's, like I said, getting out of their comfort zone. There's my son. He's on Facebook Live now. Anyways, the second thing is that when things happen and you are in a victim pattern, that you're feeling bad about things, then you need to be willing to give it up. And like I said, decide that that is not how you choose to live your life. Hi, Colleen. Thanks for joining us. So when things happen to you or when bad things happen to you, you have to acknowledge that they've happened and work through them. But then the other part of healing is to forgive the other person or forgive what has happened to you. Forgiveness is more about helping yourself. I mean, that doesn't sound right, but you can forgive somebody even if you never see them. You know, if something has happened in your past and that person that was the one that did that to you, and you don't even see them anymore, if you are still angry and resentful, hi Bob, if you're still angry and resentful about whatever it was that happened in your past, then you're never, ever going to move forward from it. So you really need to forgive the other person for your sake. Then that frees you to let it go, get rid of that negative emotion, and you can move forward. And I've had to do some things like that, and I'm sure everybody has it, but sometimes it's easy to not realize that there's something that's still bothering you. So number one is the forgiving other people after you've made your decision to not be a victim. Like I said, life is not fair. Bad things happen. You got picked up for speeding or whatever. Something is maybe not your fault and you got a ticket for it, or I don't know, all kinds of things. But you have the choice of how you are going to respond. And so that's an empowering thought. That's a nice thing to know that you can make choices, you can improve your life, and by that help other people as well. Another very important tip is for feeling of gratitude. You saw my son Abraham when he popped in here. Abraham and his two sisters, Diamond and Kindness, were adopted from Liberia, and we were over there in 2008 and 2010. And that country has so little in terms of material possessions at that time. I mean, they did not even have reliable electricity. And so when I get angry that my refrigerator wasn't working well, or my dishwasher wasn't working, or different things like that, I mean, how silly when these people in other countries and other places, hi Michelle, thanks for joining us, when they don't have hardly anything, and we have so much here in America to be grateful for, and that's just material things. But I mean, we have a warm house, and I'm very grateful for that in Wisconsin. Loving family, so many different things that we can be thankful for. Hi Elizabeth, how's Chicago today? Anyway, so you really need to identify what you are grateful for. That really helps. Another thing is, when you're feeling like a victim and you want to get rid of that, is to help other people, especially people that maybe are less fortunate than you. You know, like go to a soup kitchen, even just helping somebody in your office or place of business, what you can do, helping out at your kid's school. You help somebody else, and that takes the focus off of yourself. I mean, if you are always focusing on yourself, you really lose perspective, and you get into that feeling of poor me and so forth. And then it's also, again, empowering to know that you have the ability to help change somebody else's life, and that is just really an awesome feeling. The other thing is, as you're moving through your journey and trying to overcome this mentality change, I mean, it is an attitude change, and that is sometimes the hardest things to change in your life. You have to have grace for when you fall off the wagon and you get angry at something and it's a foolish response. I mean, you can always say that you can always validate why you're angry about something, but it is a choice. It is a choice to be angry, or a choice to react the way you do. And so when you have grace to allow yourself, okay, I didn't respond well, maybe I need to go make some apologies, forgiving myself as well, and then moving forward. That's really the important thing. So a silly story for me, for my little example, was hi Cheryl, nice to see you. With 11 kids, we didn't have all 11 home at the same time, but at the most we had 8. And sometimes, you know, Michelle, I know you have a large family as well. When you're making supper for everybody, you want to make a delicious, nutritious meal for everybody. Well, with that many people in the house, inevitably somebody will not like something about your meal that you made. And so when I was in sort of a dark period of my life, I would get very upset, and I worked hard and I was frustrated. I was trying to, you know, provide for my family, and they did not appreciate that. Hi, Corey. So talking about some victim mentality here, but so when I would make a meal and nobody liked it, or just a few people would like it, and that would bother me. And I thought, well, that's, you know, they're just ungrateful children and so forth. But that's giving them power over my life, over how I feel. And they don't have that power. So I decided to take that power back, and I make the meal. I try to make a few choices for other people, you know, taking into account what they like and don't like. I always make more than one vegetable because somebody likes peas, somebody else doesn't. But when I do that, then everybody gets to choose what they want, and I've provided the meal, and they can choose whether or not to eat it or enjoy it or go hungry. So that way, you know, I have the responsibility, I've taken responsibility for how I've chosen to react to that. I think the one idea is that some will, some won't. So then you have to move forward. Some of my kids did like what I made, some of them didn't, but I no longer feel bad if they don't like what I've made for them to eat. I've taken that responsibility back. And that's a very simple little silly thing, but it is very representative of the different powers that you give to other people, whether they make me feel bad or not. I mean, that's your choice. So in order to have a good year, a good life, I encourage you, hi Maggie, nice to see you, but I encourage you to take back responsibility for your life. It is very empowering, very freeing. It's a little staggering in the responsibility sometimes where you choose not to let other people bother you, but I've learned to unhook that emotional response to what other people's lives are or whatever people have decided to do. So I do not count on the outcome as much. Sometimes I do a good job. Sometimes I have to forgive myself and get started all over again the next day. So anyways, thank you for joining me this evening. Hi, Alicia. Nice to see you. You probably would understand all about this personal responsibility discussion that we're having here tonight, but if you have had something like that in your life where you've had to realize that you were having the victimitis mentality, if you could just drop a 1 in the comment box, I think we could all say that we have fallen prey to our own victim mentality at some times. And sometimes it's easy to recognize that and get rid of it, and other times it's very difficult to get rid of it. But that is what I've been trying to work on with my kids, and so that's something I wanted to just put out there for you on your own life. Hope this helps, and feel free to share it, and make sure to like my video. I appreciate it if you would do that. So you guys have a good evening, and I will talk with you tomorrow. Good night.